Today, we're gonna cover 13 different ways to save money when buying a MacBook. These are the best that I know of, and I've spent a lot of time looking into this. Some are genius, some are a lot of work, and I'm gonna rank all of them so that you can save as much money as possible when buying a MacBook. Because you see, most people just waltz into the Apple store and pay upfront right there, which is fine, but I'm kind of a tech and savings nerd, so I wanna go a little bit deeper. We're gonna cover new, used, and refurbished options. You can find one that works for you. And I'll be ranking them using a tier list based on price, risk, and overall how worth it each option really is. But please take these rankings with a grain of salt because what's appealing to one person won't work for someone else. Instead, you should find what appeals to you, what seems doable, and then where possible, try to combine a couple of these to save a bunch of money. With that, let's dive in. So first up is buying broken MacBook parts on a site like eBay and upgrading or building one yourself. Now you can theoretically do this if you're a hardware wizard. It is just very complicated and MacBooks aren't really meant to be like taken apart and upgraded. So it's in almost all cases way more work than it's worth. Next up, we've got buying on sites like Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist. The thing about this is that you can get really great deals here, but the issue is it's very high risk because you don't know exactly what you're getting. They could be lying, it could be broken in a way that you can't really tell right now, but would reveal itself after like a month of use, things like that. One tip here is to ask the person why they're selling it. If they say something like they just got a new MacBook, and so even though this one was pretty good, like it was just time to get rid of it, that is a good sign. But if it seems like they're getting rid of it or selling it because it's no longer usable, then you don't want to be buying that. If they couldn't use it, you're not going to get much value out of it. Another tip here is if you have time, ask to run some tests on the laptop just to make sure that the performance and the battery life is what they have said, or if they didn't tell you anything so that you can know how good it actually is. Then next up, moving on to C tier is going to be buying used MacBooks on a site like eBay or OfferUp. This is safer than something like Facebook Marketplace. It's a little bit more legit, but still you don't quite know the performance or how good the laptop really is, so it can be risky. But if you want some deals here, on eBay at least, you can go and search for sales that are ending soon or that are ready to be bought right now. And then look for ones that have bad photos or are labeled kind of incorrectly, like someone misspelled something. These will often have a lot less competition because they're not showing up as much in the search feed. If you're in an auction, you can also use a sniping tool like Jixin that can help you get a really good deal. And then another little bonus here is you can use the subreddit r/Appleswap. This one is pretty highly rated. It's a little more trustworthy than eBay. The issue is you might not always be able to get the thing you want, but a lot of people have found great deals and really solid laptops on there. Then moving on up is refurbished options from Apple's Refurbished program. These ones are certified by Apple, so that there's very low risk. You know you're getting a really solid device. But the issue is you're probably not going to get a ton of savings here. It's usually something like maybe 10% off. Additionally, other big box stores like Best Buy or Amazon also have refurbishment programs. These are fairly similar to Apple, where you will probably get a good device. It just won't be the biggest savings in the world. But if you're looking for refurbished options, that's a pretty good place to start. And then one more to add here is a site called BackMarket, which is an online marketplace where you can buy refurbished devices. That one is a little bit riskier just because they don't have as clear of rules of like what really counts as truly refurbished. So there will be different options based on the quality of the laptop. So try to stick to ones that are rated as excellent. Some of the lower ones, it gets a little bit more risky with what you're buying, but BackMarket can be quite good as well. Then after that, this is if you are looking to buy a new laptop. Some of the big box stores like Amazon or B&H, Adorama is another one, will sometimes have short-term deals on brand new MacBooks. So you can usually get something like $50 off. Occasionally it's a little bit more than that. And this is good because usually the brand new MacBooks, like you can't really find deals anywhere since they're brand new. The only thing is these usually don't happen right away. It's often about 2 to 4 months after the newest MacBooks are released. But if you're looking for one around that time, you can scout these websites and often you can find one of these deals and snag like $50 off. All right, then moving on again in B tier is going to be the education or student discount. Now this one is kind of good and bad. It's good because you can get like $100 or $150 off. They will also sometimes throw in something like free AirPods or free Beats. I don't know if they're still doing free Beats, but they used to do that. The issue is you can only get this if you are a student or a teacher or someone like in education, or if you know someone like that. So if this is you, for sure, make sure to make use of that. But for a lot of people, it's just not going to apply. Now, moving up into A tier, where we are getting a little bit more complicated. First up is going to be credit card hacking. And the basic idea here is that a lot of credit card companies will offer rewards for opening a credit card with them and then spending a certain amount usually it's like the first 3 months. And oftentimes you wouldn't spend that much normally, but if you're gonna buy a new MacBook, it's usually fairly easy to hit those limits just because they're expensive. So a standard one that I've seen is something like get $250 back if you spend $2,000 or $3,000 within the first 3 months. So what you can do is open one of these cards, buy your MacBook, and then get that discount. It's essentially like $250 off of a new MacBook. And the cool thing about this one is that you can combine it with these other options. As long as you're going to be able to hit that spend limit, you can make this work. Now, next up is going to be Apple's trade-in program. This is where if you have an older MacBook, you can trade it into Apple and get cash in return. And I think a lot of people are surprised by how much you can actually get, even for some of the older MacBooks. So certainly if you've got an old one sitting around, this is a great place to start as you're upgrading. Again, this is another one that you can usually combine with some of these other tools in order to save extra money. Next up is open box deals. These are computers that people have returned, but they opened but didn't use. And usually the big box stores like a Best Buy will have these. Oftentimes you can get 10% off of a computer and it's brand new. It's not refurbished, like the person hasn't been using it. It's just that they opened it so they can't resell it for the original value. Then next up, we've got financing through Apple. So if you have an Apple credit card, you can finance a MacBook from 0% APR over 12 months. Now, in general, if you can get 0% APR, paying over time is a great deal because money today is worth more than money down the line because of things like inflation, and you could invest that money and earn interest on it. So this is a good one. It's also one you could combine with something like their trade-in program. Now, the thing here is you have to get and qualify for an Apple credit card. So if you have one of those, it's great, it's easy, but if you don't, you will have to go through that process and not everyone will qualify to get one. All right, now we're moving into the S tier. Some of these are a little bit more esoteric. They won't apply to everyone, but if you can do these, they're super great. The first one is that if you are self-employed or have a business, you can often write off your MacBook as a tax expense. And this isn't necessarily a discount right up front, but it can save you a good chunk of money down the line. Especially since so many people are using their MacBooks for work, it counts as an expense. If Uncle Sam can foot some of the bill, great. Next up is buying a MacBook in another country. You see, MacBook prices are not the same in all countries. They're actually cheaper in some than they are in the US. So if you know someone who is traveling to one of those countries or you are traveling to one of those countries, you can save a good chunk of money by buying there. The only thing to note is make sure that it has a keyboard that works for you because some of them will have like international keyboards or one that's specific to their country and they'll be a little bit wonky. Also make sure that your warranty covers it internationally, not just in that country. Sometimes people run into that. And I will throw up on screen here a list of the countries where it is cheapest to buy a MacBook. So look for any of these if you have trips planned or know people who are heading to them soon. And then lastly, my number one recommendation is Upgraded. How we were talking about paying over time before, Upgraded also lets you pay over time, but over 36 months and from 0% interest compared to Apple's 12 months, which basically just means that your monthly payment is a third of what it would be with Apple. So you're saving a lot more money up front. They also do trade-ins like we were talking about earlier. So if you have an old MacBook, you can trade it in and get cash back in return. Personally, what I would do here, if you're gonna pay over time with any of these, is to take the money that you would have spent up front and put it in a high yield savings account. Something like Wealthfront can work. There's a bunch of different ones though. So you can earn something like 4% on money that otherwise would have been gone. And then one last bonus tip that I wanna throw in, if you are looking to buy used or refurbished and you're flexible on timing, typically the best time to buy is going to be around January and February, because a lot of people got new MacBooks over the holidays. Now they don't need their old ones and they're looking to sell it. So if you can wait, that's a great time to buy. So if you're on a budget or just want to save money, those are the best options. Obviously, this is just my opinion, but I have spent a lot of time looking into this, and I think these are some of the best ones that you can do. Again, like I said, notice where you can combine ones, different credit card things, paying over time, trade-ins, tax write-offs, stuff like that. If you can get a couple of these all going together, it ends up saving you a lot of money. If you guys know of any other ones that you've used, I'm sure I missed a couple, let me know down in the comments. I'm always curious what people are doing to save money. I'll see you next time.